Hi, welcome to a very windy Conwy Harbour in North Wales for our extra special Q&A episode. You know, within this series we love meeting really interesting business people and capturing great stories from the world that we live in. Today's episode is super special. In terms of story, it's about a film that is probably the most iconic, certainly in my lifetime, and the gentleman we're going to meet has made a business off the back of something he's built connected with that, and you'll find out in a second. But safe to say, when I first saw it, I was... Enjoy the film. John, I had a big list of questions, but you kind of like, the Orca's just behind me from JAWS, my favourite film ever. And it's not like a shonky copy, that's the real thing. How?
That's a good question. To be honest, I still get a thrill when I see her. When I can walk through the car park every morning and I see her, my heart just skips a beat. I still, just for a second, I forget that I put it together, and I just get a bit of a thrill out of it and think, oh, there's the boat from JAWS. Such an iconic image, isn't it? But yeah, how? Well, I was 9 years old when I went to see JAWS for the first time. My parents wouldn't let me go and see it because there was profanity in the movie, and so I had to sneak in with my best friend and his parents, who told my parents we were going to see some Disney movie. I think it was one of our dinosaurs was missing, and of course I came home traumatized. Wouldn't go in the bath, and from then on I've been fascinated. I've loved JAWS. Started off being frightened of sharks, then I've learned to respect them, and then now we're looking after the sharks, which is great. But yeah, so maybe 3 years ago, I'd collected a few bits and pieces. I just thought it would be great to have the boat to put them on. And so I had a look round to see what other people had done, and realised that there wasn't one. And so if I did do it, if I did manage to find a boat, it would and turn it into the boat from JAWS, it would be the only one in the world.
Because there's Batmobiles, there's DeLoreans. They're not 10 a penny, but
they're common. This is the only one, though, in the world. This is the only full-size replica in the world, and it was, which in itself has made it so worthwhile doing.
Yeah.
And of course the response from the fans and the visitors who come on board. I mean, they're just having the most fabulous time. You know, they get to put the costumes on, they get to play with the props, they get the boat to themselves for an hour. You know, they can literally be in JAWS for the hour, which is of course how long they were on the boat in the movie. And they're just having the most wonderful time. They're saying it's the best thing they've ever done in their lives. And it's so rewarding for me to have created something that creates that sort of emotion and joy in people.
And what my experience with JAWS was similar in that I remember we went to see JAWS II first of all, because I'll be very young then, and absolutely traumatised. And my neighbours, the Horrockses, if you're watching, and my brother would sit me on the bed, turn the lights off and play the theme tune, and I wouldn't get off the bed because I'd be eaten by a shark. But then I've been drawn to that, and then from the original JAWS. What is it about that story that it's, what, as we're recording now, 51 years on, and it is still young, old, and all right, you could say some of the effects aren't what, but it doesn't matter. It's just that story is almost impeccable, isn't it?
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's two things. It's the story itself, which is, you know, one of the oldest stories around, isn't it? So it's going on the hunt. It's the hunting of the shark. It's which grips people, and the characters, the fabulous acting. The fact the actors didn't get on, and you sort of sense that, and it really makes the acting and the acting scenes very realistic. But I think the biggest thing that makes it such an enduring movie, as much as anything else, is that they did it for real. This was before Star Wars came out, 2 years later. This was done for real. It was done on a real boat, on a real sea, with real actors and a proper script. And I think we just don't see that anymore. And I think when we do see it, it's just so refreshing, because there are no effects. Even the shark, although it's not a real shark, it's a real fake shark.
There.
It's actually there, and you know this. We're not fooled. Our senses can easily pick up, even today, AI and CGI. We can pick that up so easily, and it suddenly it stops the movie for me. But at JAWS, there isn't a single scene that's out of place, that it isn't required. It's just a masterpiece of movie making, and young and old. I mean, I have literally everyone has been on the boat from 5 years old to 90. They've all come on the boat. They all love it. They all know all the lines. It's their favourite movie.
Because when my kids are 12 and 14, so I think when my lads first saw it, it's probably 2 years ago, and I was a little bit not worried, but I'd gone on about this film that absolutely, I used to be terrified of swimming, but exactly as you said, and then come to love the water and love sharks. I was worried because they're from the Marvel genre and that they laugh when they saw, and he was just absolutely gripped by it and didn't say that shark looks rubbish or just...
No, I think, as I said, I think kids, when they look at this, they're so used to seeing computer-generated images. When they see the real thing, it's almost like a documentary. We do know the difference between something that's real and something that isn't, even if it's subconscious on a subconscious level. And so kids, when they see this film, it's almost like they're watching a documentary. Yeah. And so it suddenly has that reality, and that just gives that a little bit of extra edge to it. And they really love it and really sort of appreciate that, because you just don't see it anymore in any of the movies.
Yeah, and from films that you'd have seen growing up, if you were going to do this, would it always have been this and not a DeLorean or a Batmobile or an Aliens loader? Or
yeah, you can do all that. But I've seen lots and lots of DeLoreans, all of them great. I've seen lots of Aliens stuff, loaders. I've seen Ed 209s. Yeah. But Jaws is still my favourite movie. The others, Aliens and the Predators, are in position number 2 and position number 3. So I love those movies. But you have to have a lot of licensing as well involved in these other things. This is quite an interesting point that the boat is actually older than the boat that's in Jaws. She's not actually a copy of the boat that's in Jaws. That's what she looked like when she was made in 1969. She's always been a big game fishing boat. That's what they looked like back in the day. So as I discussed with Universal some time back, you actually copied my boat, because apart from the shark cage, which is a relatively recent addition, that's how she looked back in the day. I mean, she's been a big game fishing boat, and that's what big game fishing boats look like. So there's nothing on the boat which was designed in a studio or an art department. Joe Alves, when he put the boat together, he looked at lots of boats, and he possibly even looked at mine. It was around at the time. It was over in the States at the time. And he looked at all the boats and said, right, this is what it should look like, and so that's what I'm going to build. There's absolutely nothing on the boat.
There's no IP issues, there's no copyright.
Exactly,
because it's all real.
Exactly, so there's nothing on that boat which isn't practical, which isn't usable, which isn't from before Jaws was made or of that time, which you would find on that boat, which makes it quite an interesting...
So all the barrels that you've sourced, all those, their period correct?
But the barrels are actually they've been on the boat for a long time now. They put the barrels on probably slightly after Jaws, but they always used flotation barrels, not for harpooning sharks and stuff. That's a slightly unusual sort of thing which they did for the movie. But they would always have barrels on the boat for attaching baits and things to. And after Jaws, they changed them to the yellow barrels, as everyone else did. So, but again, the barrels themselves would always have been on the boat. The fact that the only nod to Jaws is that they're yellow, and but of course that is what makes it the boat from Jaws. You could put 4 yellow barrels on a canal barge, and it will be the boat from Jaws. So to some extent, so it was the last thing I did was put the barrels on. And people come and see the boat, they're shocked how small she is. And but she's full size. She's just over 40 feet. She's 13 feet wide. She's exactly the same size as the boat in the movie, and people are really shocked when they see it and see how small she is. And filmmakers in particular, and I've had a lot down like yourselves, when they get on board, and the first thing they look at is, how do you make a movie on a boat like this? I mean, it's difficult enough with an iPhone, walking around with an iPhone taking some pictures, to actually shoot a movie on there, with a crew of 12, 13, 14 people, your actors, your directors, and it must have been, and was, clearly an incredibly difficult thing to do. And fair play to Spielberg. He had to recreate the shooting of movies. He had to innovate so much.
It wasn't faked, was it?
It was all done for real. I mean, and they had to learn very quickly that they put this platform on the side of the boat, and they put the big Panavision camera on there, and of course the whole boat tipped up, so they couldn't do that. So it was mostly shot with the Araflex cameras on the shoulders, handheld. But of course, because the cameras then weren't fixed to the deck, because they were handheld, they moved in a different way, and you really got that sense of motion that you wouldn't have got with the fixed cameras. So that was that worked. So it made Spielberg the director he became. It was because of how he had to innovate on the movie. Yeah.
Although you said off camera that you had sort of a background in TV and camera work and things. Does that give you an extra appreciation of the story and the film Jaws for that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a huge inspiration. When I left school, I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a big game fisherman. I wanted to be a film director. I wanted to be Spielberg, and Big Jaws was a big part of that. I wanted to make Jaws. So it's a thrill to have the boat and to be able to walk around and pretend I'm Spielberg, and how I would do this and how I would do that. So it was a huge part of it. And as I got older, as you get older, every time you watch Jaws, you're a year older. It's fascinating. You see more of it. It becomes less of a horror movie, a shark movie. It becomes more about the people. Yeah. And then as you get older still, it becomes how they made the movie and the acting and the writing. You start to appreciate all those subtleties. It definitely was a part of my career as well as one of my favourite film pastime.
The attention to detail on the props, the mugs, the cutlery, everywhere you look. But there is one, if I had to take one prop, if I was allowed to pinch one thing, you probably know what I'm going to say, and obviously it comes down to this human level interaction, that click of the fishing reel. That reminded me of being so terrified on that moment in the film. And that's, again, the same make of reel, is it, that they used?
Yeah, you're talking about the Penn Senator 16-0 reel. It was never in any doubt that I was going to have one on the boat. It was a very expensive thing to find.
I bet.
It cost an absolute fortune. It's one of the few props I actually take home with me at night, because I do not want to ever lose that. But it's everyone who goes on the boat, when I say, look, are you ready for this? And I start the click, and they literally just go to pieces. It is my favourite scene in the movie, yes, when it starts clicking, because not just because it ramps up the tension, but because it's the acting as well. It's the way Robert Shaw looks down at the reel, and the way he lifts the rod out and he's looking at the line, which isn't even there. He's acting, the line twitching and stuff. He's acting like a big game fisherman. He straps himself to the reel, and of course he's not strapped to the chair, he's strapped to the reel. So if he doesn't know what he's doing, if he gets it wrong and that fish suddenly runs, he's out of the chair and into
I'm feeling it now.
Yeah. And it's just, when the reel first arrived, I turned it didn't make a sound, and I was furious. I went absolutely mad. And my wife was saying, why? And screaming and shouting. And I didn't realise until I phoned the guy who sold it to me, there's actually a little button on the reel, and you actually press it, and it's the clicker button, and it makes it click. But everyone just wants to sit in the chair and turn the reel and hear that sound. It is quite iconic. You
could almost have it as a ringtone when someone you're nervous about is ringing you.
Oh, quite a few people have recorded it, so for when the mother-in-law phones.
Well, the relatives are available for that reference.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your favourite, apart from, I guess, all of it? Have you got one particular, other than the reel?
Yeah, I love the props that were actually in the movie. We're fairly certain that we're in the movie. The tray and the stove, the gas stove, which I happened upon accidentally, and we only just discovered by accident that they were almost certainly the ones from the movie. That's a thrill. I've got two new props on there, which you haven't seen actually. They've only just recently arrived. Two original pieces of the Orca II, the stunt boat, the fiberglass stunt boat. Two really big pieces of that boat, which a friend of mine who was gifted them from the Murphy family who owned the boat, which they brought off a production company for $1, and they left it on the beach. It's not there anymore, it's gone forever. But you've got two original pieces on the boat. That's a thrill to have. The harpoon rifle, we've got the correct harpoon rifle now. That's very cool, and people just love taking it. It's a very expensive thing, and again, irreplaceable. But I still let people take it to the end of the pulpits, and they can pose with it, and they just love that.
Yeah, and it's cool. This is now has got so successful that you're doing this as a business. But when you kind of look at how your business is founded, and for us, our sort of company and what we do with making films and things and working with companies, it's all about stories. Is it fair to say that your company here is probably founded on one of well-known, powerful stories of the modern time.
It certainly is, and it does help. It does help. She was always needed to be a business. This is a very expensive boat to keep. She's a 60-year-old wooden boat. Her upkeep, and obviously keeping her at the marina is expensive, but her upkeep is incredibly expensive. Keeping a boat is a very expensive business, so she has to pay for herself. Wasn't quite expecting to be quite so busy and spend every day of my summer here on the boat, but that's just one of those things. Unfortunately, people expect me to be here, quite right, I suppose. Only I know everything about the boat. I know a reasonable amount about JAWS, though I keep bumping into these 8-year-old kids who seem to know a hell of a lot more about it than I do, which is very embarrassing. And I do the Indianapolis speech at the end, and we have a sing-song. It's very difficult for me to ask anyone else to do that, and I do it quite well as well. I mean, most people burst into tears when I start, and it's really emotional. It's a very emotional thing, and I sing, and we do the singing and stuff. Everybody joins in most of the time. I hate singing the song on my own, but most of the time people join in, and we just have a fabulous time. So it's part of me as well. It's the boat and myself, and the JAWS fans that come down, who are of course the biggest stars of all.
They're coming from all over the world, aren't they?
Coming from all over the world, and I love it when yesterday 3 guys turned up. One was dressed as Quint, one was dressed as Hooper, one was dressed as the Chief. And to see them walking on, running over the boat and redoing all the scenes and stuff, it's just a huge thrill. And sometimes they play the music on board, they bring their own music and play it, and it's just fabulous to see that.
Well, I mean, for me, I say it's my favourite film, and thank you. It almost suggests like you've done it for me, but just an amazing thing to experience.
I did do it for you. You're a JAWS fan. If you're a JAWS fan, that's why I made the boat. I've had ridiculous offers from all over the world to buy it, from Dubai to Vegas to Hollywood. People want to buy it and put it in their swimming pools, and just because they think they can. But that's not what she was done for. She was done for she was built for the fans. The fans are coming down. They're absolutely loving it. Yeah. As they say, it's the best thing they've ever done. I'm loving it. I'm very humbled because I created something that's creating so much joy and emotion in people, and I love it. I've got the best job in the world. I'm the tour guide on the Orca from JAWS. It's the world's smallest theme park, but I think it's one of the better ones, and everyone's having such a great time. Long may it continue. She will stay here in Conwy, North Wales, until every last JAWS fan in the world has been to see her.
John, just awesome to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And well done again.
Thank you very much. Cheers. To you fair Spanish ladies, farewell and adieu to you ladies of Spain, for I've received orders for to sail back to Boston, and so nevermore will I see you again. Show me the way to go home, I'm tired and I wanna go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago, and it's gone right to my head. Wherever I may roam, on land or sea or foam, you can always hear me singing a song. Show me the way to go home, bum bum bum. Show me the way to go home, bum bum. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago, and it's gone. Start the engine, Mr. Hooper.